This book has a gimmick, and it is not the over 200 incredible magic items to use at your table, or the 10 evolving artifacts that evolve with your player's level on your table, or the over 150 incredible pieces of artwork that are in here. It is the way in which it is designed, which for the end consumer, admittedly, doesn't mean a lot, but it is a cool gimmick nonetheless. You might have seen me talk about Alan Tucker a lot on my channel lately, and today I'm doing it again because I want to talk about the follow-up of Incredible Creatures, which is called Incredible Items. Incredible Creatures, if you don't remember what it is, I've done a review on my channel. Link will be somewhere around here in the description below or somewhere on the top here. Incredible Creatures is a book with a different premise than other monster books. It is a monster books. By the way, I have a monster in here myself. I've written stats and lore for a monster, so if you want to pick it up and see some of my writing, make sure to do that. Link description below. But what they did for this book is, normally a book is created, they create the creatures and the lore and the stat blocks for certain creatures, and then they go out and they hire some artists to create the art for those creatures. What Incredible Creatures did is completely the other way around. They had a bunch of artists create a bunch of art, like really crazy, ridiculous art, which was really cool. And then they had a bunch of writers and they just told them, look, here's a piece of art, create a creature, like name the creature, give it stats, give it powers, give it lore, give it everything. And that is what Incredible Creatures is, and that is exactly what Incredible Items is as well. Incredible Items is kind of the follow-up. It's a little bit thinner, but that's the thing with magic items, they are smaller. And what this brings, I'm gonna read this from the back, is over 200 items in total. 150 of those have amazing, as they say, amazing pieces of magic item art. On top of that, and this is one of the coolest things about it for me, is 10 evolving artifact items that can grow in power with the characters. Each one has 4 or 5 stages of development with unique art and abilities. And that is the cool thing about Incredible Items. Incredible Items is on DriveThruRPG as a PDF, as a print on demand. And if you are looking for a book that has some really unique magic items that nobody has ever heard of, or you want evolving artifacts that like level with your players, which is really cool because you have like this magic items, and oftentimes you give a magic item to a player and they can really use it on level 4, but by the time they reach like level 8 or 9, the magic item becomes kind of meh. And with this evolving artifact, it actually gains levels while your character gains levels, and it gains new powers, making the game, keeping it interesting to keep around in your game. So without further ado, I just want to look into the PDF of this thing, point you towards some of the magic items that I think are really cool. Let's get into it. Before we dig into the PDF, I want to really quickly say that Alan Tucker, who is the creative lead around Incredible Items and Incredible Creatures, is doing a brand new Kickstarter which is called Apocalypse, the complete Game Master's Guide to Ending the World. I've done a video on this. Make sure to click the link in the description below. Make sure to check it out for yourself. It looks really, really cool, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. And this is it, Incredible Items by Alan Tucker and his incredible team of writers and artists. Because if you scroll down, there is a very long list of not only the project lead, Alan Tucker, but there are artists, which are a very long list, writers, a very long list, people who worked on, there's like additional team, there's like a lot of people that worked on this, and that's a great thing. If you buy a book like this, you are supporting a lot of people by doing so, which is really great to do, and you're getting a shit ton of magic items in return. Like, really, there's a lot of them. There are more than 200 magic items in here, and there are over 10 or so artifacts in here that level with you as a player. They become more powerful as the game progresses, which is a really cool mechanic that I really like. As you can see, they split everything up into armor, potions, rings, rods, wands, staffs, what am I seeing? Weapons. I know the text in here is really small, so it's really hard for me to screen cap this, so you'll need to take my word for it. Wondrous items. There are like the wondrous items that are the items that scale from a staff of, like, yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff in here. So I suggest we just look over a few things. I've been flipping through this thing in my spare time, and I'm seeing a lot of really funny and wicked magic items that I just want to quickly talk about, just to give you an idea of what this book can give you as a dungeon master or as a player. And as you can see, while I just scroll through this weapon section, there is just so much going on. There's so much, like so many weapons, swords, there's hammers, axes, whatever you want, you can have for your, you can give to your players. There's even like this double-sided spear thing or something like that. There is a bow that has lightning rods coming out of it. There's just a bunch of stuff going on. And for example, one very cool one that I found was it's actually a hammer that's called the bigger hammer. That's this one, the bigger hammer. And they say right here what it is. The blacksmith who first fashioned this warhammer was fond of saying, every problem is a nail. Here's a hammer. The bigger hammer is horribly unbalanced, making it incredibly difficult to wield. It does, however, pack a big punch. The hammer's head is oversized and extremely heavy. So it is really hard to wield. It has this really short shaft to hold with like one or two hands, and then it is this big rock on top of that is just completely horribly unbalanced, which is really funny. You incur, which is a word I've never seen in 5th edition, you incur a -2 penalty to attack rolls made with this magic weapons, but it deals an extra die of damage on a successful hit, regardless of whether you are wielding it with one hand or two, which is really cool for people who want to build their character kind of around this hammer. Maybe you can play like the blacksmith who has built this hammer, is now an adventurer, and he takes this -2 penalty as a trade-off kind of for dealing damage, because if you put enough points in strength and you take the right type of feats, you'll be able to deal with that -2 penalty, especially if you level higher into the game and you're scoring more hits against creatures. -2 penalty, it is a kind of a big penalty, and you'll feel it, but every time when you hit somebody, you'll be able to hit him harder, or you build this character that has a lot of advantage on their attack rolls. Maybe you're able to knock people prone or something and then attack them, which gives you advantage, which negates the -2 penalty. So it is this kind of magic items that are completely scattered across this book, like a lot of like crazy ideas. Somebody has painted this hammer, and then another person came up with the idea of calling it the bigger hammer, which is really funny because the artist was probably not thinking about that while they were drawing it. Or maybe you are more into whips. Some people are really into whips, so there is a whip in here that's called Leech Whip, which is basically just a whip, but it can attach itself to your target. So when it attaches itself, the next turn, if the target is still attached, it deals like a D6 extra damage, and then on subsequent turns it goes to like D8, D10, D12, and so it does more and more damage the longer it is attached to the other creature, which again is really, that's why I like magic items. Because magic items are really the silly part of Dungeons and Dragons. I get a lot of like sessions where it's like a lot of serious stuff, and of course there's always humor and there's always silly, but Dungeons and Dragons can get really serious, like dungeon crawls can get really serious really quick, and magic items are really there to lighten the mood for me. That's personally why I use them. They need to be silly, they need to be weird, and that's really cool. There is this crossbow called Huntress, which does which is a +2 crossbow basically, and every time you finish a long or a short rest, no, only a long rest, you can name one of the following creatures types: aberrations, beasts, dragons, elementals, fiends, giants, monstrosities, or undead, and you deal an extra 1d8 piercing damage to attacks made against that creature type. So every day at dawn, you can do that. You can name a creature type, and then you can go and use the Huntress to hunt that creature type. So if you're out to get undead, you just say undead to the weapon, and then basically you get to do extra damage to undead. But the +2, by the way, only refers to creatures that can't see you. So it's kind of like a sniper rifle crossbow type thing. There is a potion in here which is called the Potion of +1, which is for lonely people. This liquid inside, the liquid inside this veil is a constant state of blah blah blah. Taking this potion gives you the ability to manifest an illusionary companion, which lasts until you choose to dispel it or up to 4 hours. Your companion is silent, but acts in a manner which is consistent with the image you compose in your mind after drinking the potion. It could be a protector, a social companion, or a family member. They must be a creature of small or medium size and cannot change appearance once established. They stay within 10 feet of you at all times and have no physical manifestation. I don't even know how people come up with this stuff. Lastly, let's talk about evolving artifacts, which are what they say they are. They are artifacts, so magic items, which evolve during the stages of your character's life, or at least the person who is attuned to them. If they gain a level, or if they do something special, they meet a requirement. Lastly, let's talk about evolving artifacts, which are exactly what they say they are. They are artifacts that evolve, and they grow kind of with the character's level, but not automatically. Like, not all of them do that automatically. There are sometimes requirements. And one of the coolest one that I have seen is this one, Stormheart, which is an armor. It's a piece of armor that really reminds me of Elder Scrolls Online, which is an MMORPG I've been playing a few years ago, which has like the system where you have a piece of armor, and you can really like use that skin on another piece of armor and becomes this one, and like really the style of it really reminds me of that. So I think it's really cool. So what this is, as you can see it, as it's stage 1, which is kind of basic. Stage 2 has a really cool helmet. Stage 3 is even cooler, it's better, it's cooler, it has like a really cool pair of pants, and stage 4 is like epic beast mode, right? So what it does, it is a stage 1 armor, which is +1 to armor class, and it deals some extra lightning damage when you hit somebody. And then it gives you and all of these have this, it gives you a requirement for evolution. It says evolution. If the eels are replaced with the foot of a freshly slain blue dragon wormling, the armor transforms into the bolt, which is stage 2. Stage 1 was the spark, stage 2 is the bolt. So with the eels, they mean that this armor comes with, like, on its back, it has like this container that has 2 eels in it, petrified eels, right? Nobody really knows why they are there, but there's petrified eels in there, and it comes with like a manual. It's a list that has like all of the things you need to evolve it. So the first time what you do is you have to replace the eels with the foot of a blue dragon wormling. So you have to go take your armor, go to a blue dragon wormling, chop off its foot, and then put it into the container, and then your armor will go to stage 2, which makes it more powerful. It will still deal lightning damage on a hit, but instead of it being a D4, it's now a D6. It also gives you +1 on armor class, still resisting to lightning damage. You also gain blindside out of reach of 10 feet. And you, as a bonus action, you can have the armor create a nimbus of magical electric energy around you, which lasts for 1 minute. DC Dexterity saving throw, 1d10 lightning damage. If the wormling foot is replaced with the horn of a freshly slain behir, it transforms into the current. So we have the spark, we have the bolt, we have the current, which is stage 3, which does a lot of other crap. And then there is the last one, which is Stormheart, stage 4, which you get if you replace evolution. A minimum of 3 storm giants must perform a ritual which creates a tremendous storm. If the armor is struck with lightning 3 times during the ritual, it transforms into Stormheart. So, you need 3 storm giants. You go into the mountains. You go and grab 3 storm giants. And you make sure that you know when or if they are doing a ritual to create storms. Which storm giants do, right? So this storm comes. What you do is you take your armor, which is called the current, which is already really powerful, but you take your armor and, I don't know, you climb the highest tree you can find, right? And you bind the armor, which is made of metal. So you bind it on top of the tree, making sure that it gets hit 3 times by the storm, and then it changes into Stormheart, which is a really powerful armor, because it gives you like +3 on armor class, which is a lot. And it has a lot of other stuff. A sparking nimbus 3 times per day. As a bonus action, you may have the armor create a nimbus of magical energy. Same thing, dexterity saving throw, but does 3d10 lightning damage once per day. As a reaction, when you or an ally within 10 feet of you takes magical fire, lightning, or radiant damage, you can redirect that energy to another target as a 5-foot wide, 90 feet long bolt of lightning. Stuff like that. So I really like this armor. Now, it's kind of ridiculous to get it to stage 4, but that is kind of the point, right? You have a good bit of armor and you might get it to stage 4, but in stage 1 all the way up to stage 3, it's already a really cool piece of armor that can do some really cool stuff. Now, not all of these involving artifacts are that ridiculous to get them to the last stage, but all of them have like these requirements, which I think is a really cool mechanic they came up with. So this is actually why I really like this book. And outside of that, there's not much more to say, except that there is a really cool appendix, which is called a bonus items and wild magic table. And it's really cool because there is a potion of wild magic. When you drink this potion, you become a font of uncontrolled magic. For the next minute, the dungeon master rolls on the wild magic table below at the beginning of every round. When using this table, all results should be kept secret by the dungeon master until the effects become evident. There's 100 of these, so I don't know. Just a swarm of bats controlled by the dungeon master appears in the caster's space. The caster gains true sight out to a range of 120 feet for 1 minute and must succeed on a DC 12 wisdom saving throw or become incapacitated until the end of their next turn, traumatized by what they've seen. There's 100 of these. I'm not going to name all of them, don't worry. 1d6 skeletons rise. The caster emits bright rainbow colored light. There is gravity is doubled. Hallucinatory terrain, calling lightning. The caster becomes vulnerable to a particular type of damage. The area within 20 feet of the caster quickly rises in temperature for the next minute, dealing 1d4 fire damage. I don't know, for the next minute, epic orchestral music plays in an area of 120 feet around the caster. Mind Blank is cast on the caster, and roll twice more on the table. And there's like, let's do one more. A bush with 2d100 good berries growing on it appears in an empty space within 10 feet of the caster. 2d100 good berries within 10 feet of the caster. I think that's a really cool extra thing they added in here that wasn't necessary to add, but really tops up the book and makes it an incredible buy for you. So make sure to check the link in the description below. And until next video, bye-bye.